He kicked my coffee right out of my hand, scalding black, poured down my boot, and by sundown, that same man called me sir. You ever have one of those mornings where the air's too quiet, like the world's holding its breath right before it tests you? That was West Texas. At 5:30 a.m., sky bruised purple, turbines humming like tired giants. I was halfway through my shift coffee when Cole Maddox decided I looked too small for the job. He's the boss's kid, born with clean hands and opinions about people who work with theirs. He grinned that lazy grin, kicked the cup, and said, "You missed a spot, tech boy." I looked at the mess, steaming on the steel floor, then at him. Didn't say a word. Folks think silence means weakness. It doesn't. Sometimes it means you're running the math cost, witnesses, timing. Sometimes it means you've already started building a plan. Inside, my pulse climbed like the turbines outside, blades slicing the dawn. But my face stayed still. Granddad used to say, "Never let a fool write your story, son. Take the pen back, but wait till he's watching." So I just asked, calm as you please, "You sure you want to go that route, Cole?" He laughed rich, loud, careless. "I'm positive." "Good," I said. "Then you just signed something you can't afford." The other techs froze mid-motion. Nobody moved, nobody breathed. The hum of the wind farm filled the space between us. I picked up the empty cup, tossed it in the bin, and went back to work like nothing happened. But make no mistake, something had started. I wasn't after revenge. I was after clarity. There's a difference. You see, out here, respect is like voltage runs silent, but when it's gone, everything stops working. Cole thought authority meant volume. I knew better. Real authority is what happens when the noise dies and everyone still listens. By the time the sun climbed over Turbine Row, I'd already logged the incident time, location, names. Not because I was petty, because I believe in proof. Paper beats memory. Every single time. And while he strutted around the site, barking orders he didn't understand, I started counting. How many hours shorted from our pay? How many warnings ignored? How many good people treated like dirt for a paycheck? You can't fix what you won't face, and I was done pretending. By sundown, the wind would still be howling across these fields, but the air between us, it'd be different. Because sometimes the quiet man isn't the weakest one in the room. He's just the one loading his truth into chambers called facts. Stay with me, partner. I'll show you how you turn one small act of disrespect into a system that never dares repeat it. The thing about working wind farms out in West Texas, no one hears you out there except the wind and your own conscience. You learn quick what kind of man you are when nobody's watching. I'd been there 3 years, running maintenance from dawn till dark, fixing turbines that screamed louder than most marriages. I liked the silence, the rhythm, paid enough to keep my mom's dialysis running in gas in the old Ford. That was all I needed. Cole Maddox was the kind of noise you couldn't tune out. He showed up 3 weeks ago wearing sunglasses before sunrise, talking big about efficiency and cutting dead weight. Corporate sent him straight from Houston, saying he'd be our new operations supervisor. To the rest of us, he was a paycheck with cowboy boots and 0 field hours. To him, we were background noise. That morning with the coffee wasn't the first time he tested me. Day before, he'd told Tasha Green, our single mom tech, to stay overtime without pay to show initiative. She didn't argue. She needed the hours too bad. I saw her checking her phone every 5 minutes, probably worried about her kid waiting at the sitters. I logged that too, time, message, reason. Not because I plan to rat anyone out, but because I've seen how truth gets lost without paper. Most of the crew, Hank, Miguel, old Earl, just shrugged. "Don't poke the bear, Jordan," they'd say. "You'll still be here when he's gone." Maybe. But my gut said this time the bear needed poking smartly. You don't fight a storm with noise. You redirect it. So I started building what I call my quiet ledger. Every missed safety check, every unpaid hour, every insult that slipped through teeth too clean for real work. I wasn't out to get anyone. I was out to protect everyone who couldn't afford to speak. Because when folks like Tasha get pushed far enough, they quit. And when they quit, the system says, "See? Couldn't handle the job." That's not quitting, that's drowning with no life jacket. Mom called that night while I was fueling the truck. Her voice was thin but steady, the way it gets after dialysis. "You eating, honey?" she asked. "Trying to," I said, watching the lights blink red on the turbine ridge. She laughed soft. Don't let those rich boys tell you who you are. Remember, wind only bows the grass that's rooted deep. I smiled, though she couldn't see it. Yeah, Ma, I remember. Next morning, Cole strutted into the control trailer, chewing on a toothpick like he'd earned it. Listen up, team, he barked. Corporate's on my ass about numbers. Starting today, we double output, same head count. Anybody whining about overtime gets replaced. Understood? The room went quiet except for the hum of the monitors. My knuckles whitened around my wrench. Miguel's eyes darted to mine, scared. Tasha bit her lip, looking at the floor. Cole mistook silence for obedience. Mistake number one. He turned to me. Hale, you've been here longest. You set the tone. You with me? I met his stare. I'm with safety and fair pay, sir. Same as always. He chuckled, low and mocking. Then you'll fit right in if you can keep up. I've kept this place standing through 3 tornado warnings, I said, still calm. I'll manage your breeze. A few guys snorted behind their gloves. Cole's jaw twitched. He didn't like laughter that wasn't his. Later, out by Turbine 22B, Hank pulled me aside. You crazy, son? That's the boss's boy. I know, I said, checking the anemometer reading. That's why I'm taking notes, not swings. Hank squinted. What's the plan? Same as always. Let the facts do the talking. Let the storm spend itself. See, that's what folks miss about quiet people. We're not soft. We're precise. Every insult gets filed. Every unfair order becomes a breadcrumb on a trail that leads somewhere real. You just gotta wait till the right set of eyes follows it. I wasn't born brave. I was just tired of watching good hands shrink under bad management, tired of seeing dignity traded for survival. Out here, respect shouldn't be optional. It should be standard equipment like a safety harness. So I set myself one goal: keep the turbine spinning, keep the crew safe, keep my mom's treatment paid, and when the right day comes, shine light on every shadow Cole built. Not to destroy him, to fix the damn system that let him think stepping on people was leadership. Because power, like wind, only looks clean when you can't see what it's grinding through. And I was done pretending the sky was blue when it smelled like oil and arrogance. The first crack in any system doesn't sound like thunder. It's quiet like a sigh before something breaks. For us, it came on a Tuesday, the kind of dry heat that makes the sky shimmer like a mirage. The turbines were moaning low over the ridgeline, and Cole was already barking orders through the radio like we were a pack of half-trained dogs. Unit 12's dragging. Hale, you and Miguel get up there. Don't waste daylight, he snapped. I looked at the readings, wind speed over 30 knots. Not safe. We shut down past 25, Cole, I said into the mic. He came back fast. We follow my numbers now, not your old man handbook. Move it. Miguel's eyes met mine, kid barely 20, trying to learn, trying not to get fired. I could see fear behind his visor. I thumbed the radio again. Copy that, we'll secure the line first. I clicked it off before Cole could argue. Some orders you acknowledge just so you can safely ignore them. When we reached the platform halfway up the tower, the wind hit us like a living thing. Bolts rattled under our boots. Miguel yelled over the noise. You think he even knows what 25 knots feels like up here? No, I said, checking the safety latch. That's why we write it down. I pulled the GoPro from my chest harness, aimed it at the torque wrench gauge, and said into the mic, wind speed 32. Proceeding per supervisor directive. Miguel raised a brow. You recording? Always, I said. Paper beats memory, video beats lies. End. Down below, Cole stood by the truck, arms crossed, shades reflecting sunlight like arrogance incarnate. He had no idea every gust around us was another line in my quiet ledger. We finished the check without dying. That felt like an achievement. By the time we climbed down, sweat and dust streaked our faces. Cole met us halfway, clapping slow. Took you long enough, he sneered. Guess fear makes you careful. He wiped my gloves. Fear keeps people alive. He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell the expensive cologne struggling to cover cheap whiskey. Maybe next time, do what I say the first time. I kept my tone even. Maybe next time read the safety code before giving orders. A few of the crew nearby froze. That was me crossing the invisible line talking back. Cole's face tightened, the way men's faces do when their ego trips on reality. That night, I got an email from HR. Performance review requested by Supervisor Maddox. No reason stated. I smiled, because that meant the game was on record now. Every complaint he filed, every half-truth, every word would have to face daylight someday. Next morning, Tasha came in late. Her boy had an asthma attack overnight. Cole didn't ask, didn't care. He made her log a half-day doc. Watching her sign the paper with shaking hands twisted something in me. That was the moment I stopped just collecting facts. I started preparing for sunlight. After shift, I walked out to the fence line. The wind farm spread across miles of horizon, red lights blinking in slow rhythm, like the heartbeat of something bigger than all of us. I took out my phone, snapped photos of the day's readings, voice memoed everything while it was fresh: the unsafe order, the recording, Tasha's doc. Not vengeance, evidence. Back in the trailer, I opened a spreadsheet labeled Maintenance Logs, Hidden Tab, Quiet Ledger, Column A, Date, Column B, Incident, Column C, Witness, Column D, Proof. The list was already growing faster than turbines spin in March wind. Before shutting down the screen, I added one more note. When they stop listening, make the facts louder. Cole still thought he was in control. He strutted around the yard the next day, bragging into his phone about cleaning house. He didn't notice the shift in the air, how Hank no longer laughed at his jokes, how Miguel double-checked orders with me instead. Respect is quiet, but you can feel it change direction like wind. 2 nights later, while I was tightening a bolt under 17C, Hank slid over a folded note, payroll missing again. Tasha short 3 hours. I nodded, added it to the ledger. Hank whispered, "You planning to hand this to HR?" "Not yet," I said. "Handing proof to the wrong hands kills truth faster than lies do." We wait. He gave a short laugh. "You really think one man can fix this?" "I don't need to fix it," I said, eyes on the horizon. "Just make it impossible to ignore." The crack had widened. Cole didn't see it yet, but every sneer, every shortcut, every hour stolen from the crew was one more fracture line in the foundation of his authority. I wasn't rushing. Storms teach you patience. Let the wind test every bolt before it breaks the tower, and when it breaks, everyone knows exactly where the fault line runs. Pressure changes a man. Out here, it doesn't come from bosses or deadlines, it comes from the wind. The kind that hums low in your bones and reminds you that nature doesn't care who signs your paycheck. The day it all boiled over started with static on the radio and the sky turning the color of bruised metal. Forecasts said gusts up to 50 knots by afternoon. Any fool would know that meant a full shutdown. But fools, as I've learned, often wear clean boots and borrowed authority. At 7 a.m., Cole called a site-wide meeting, his sunglasses already fogged with arrogance. "Listen up," he said, pacing in front of the control trailer. "Corporate's breathing down my neck about downtime. We're not shutting anything today. We'll run the turbines through the storm and prove this site can handle it." The crew exchanged looks. Hank muttered under his breath, "Storm will handle us first." Cole heard it. "What's that, old-timer?" Hank kept his gaze low. "Just saying equipment's not rated past 40. Cole smirked. "Neither are most of you, but here you are." A couple of nervous laughs rippled through the yard, the kind people make when they're scared but don't want to lose their jobs. I didn't laugh. "Cole," I said quietly, "if we keep them spinning, we're gambling blades and lives." He turned, all swagger. "You got data to back that fear, Hale?" I pulled up the log on my tablet, showing vibration readings. 38 knots and climbing. Any higher, the rotor imbalance hits red. He stepped closer, jabbing a finger at the screen. "You think I care about your numbers? What I care about is results. Now get your crew up there." "No," I said simply. The silence after that could have split concrete. Even the turbines seemed to hold their breath. Cole's smirk faltered for half a second, first time I'd seen uncertainty cross his face. Then came the flush of anger. "You refusing a direct order?" "I'm refusing to die stupid," I said. "You can fire me, but you can't rewrite physics." That line hung there, heavy as thunder. He didn't fire me. He just stared, jaw tight, before turning to the rest. Anyone else got a problem following orders? No one spoke. They were tired, scared, loyal, but mostly they had rent to pay. By noon, the sky was a sheet of gray iron. Gusts slapped the towers, making them groan. Tasha was in the control trailer logging power output. Miguel was halfway up 14B checking bolts. I was at the base, reading the meter when I saw the numbers spike. "Miguel, come down," I shouted into the radio. "We're over 45 knots. Shut it down." Before he could answer, Cole's voice cut in. "Stay put, rookie." Hale's overreacting. I looked up and saw Miguel's small figure bracing against the ladder, the wind shoving at him like an angry hand. I didn't think I ran. The climb felt endless, metal vibrating beneath my gloves, rain starting to spit sideways. By the time I reached him, Miguel's safety line had twisted around a rung, jammed. His eyes were wide. "It's stuck." "Hold on," I said, hooking my own line. "We'll fix it." Below us, I could hear Cole shouting something into the radio, his words torn apart by the wind. None of it mattered. What mattered was the wrench in my hand, the metal biting into my palm, and the sound of a cable screaming in protest. "Cut the power," I yelled into my mic. "Cole, kill the feed." Static. Then, negative. "We're not shutting down." That was it. I grabbed my emergency lockout tag from my belt, slammed it on the control box, and pulled the disconnect lever myself. The tower went silent. The sudden absence of noise was deafening. Miguel slumped against the ladder, breathing hard. "You'll get fired for that." "Maybe," I said. "But you'll get to complain about it in person." We climbed down in silence, every rung a small victory. When we hit the ground, the rest of the crew was gathered near the trucks, watching us. Cole stormed over, face red, voice sharp. "You just cost this company $20,000 in output." I peeled off my gloves, tossed them in the mud. "Better that than a funeral." "You disobeyed a direct order?" "And you ignored Federal Safety Code 1910.269, I said, pulling my phone from my pocket. The screen lit with video, his voice ordering Miguel to stay up, the wind gauge reading 49 knots. "Want me to send it to corporate or HR first?" That shut him up. For a long second, the only sound was the rain hitting his jacket. Then, in a voice tight with panic, he said, "You think that little recording scares me?" "No," I said. "I think it protects everyone else." "Oh." He lunged forward like he wanted to hit me, but Hank stepped between us, calm and heavy. "Easy, son. You're already bleeding respect. Don't lose the rest." Cole's eyes darted between us, me, Hank, the crew, even Tasha standing in the trailer doorway. None of them moved to back him. Power had shifted, quietly, and he could feel it. By evening, corporate called a mandatory review. Ruth Delgado, our foreman, drove in from the regional office. She didn't waste time. "Cole, I saw the footage. You ordered a tech into unsafe conditions. Effective immediately, you're suspended pending investigation." Cole sputtered, turning red. "This is a setup." Ruth's eyes were flat. "The camera doesn't care." She turned to me. "Hale, you've been keeping detailed logs?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good, I'll need copies for the report." For the first time in weeks, I exhaled without tasting iron. The storm outside still raged, but inside the trailer, it felt calm, controlled, like justice had weight again. When Ruth left, Miguel clapped my shoulder. "You knew this would happen?" "Not exactly," I said. "I just made sure when it did, the truth would already have a name." Later, alone in the yard, I watched the turbines spin down one by one, their red lights blinking steady against the dark. My clothes were soaked, my hands raw, but something inside me had gone still, the kind of still that only comes when you've chosen right over easy. I thought of my mom's voice that night. "Wind only bows the grass that's rooted deep." Maybe that's what this was bending, not breaking. Cole might come back. People like him usually do. But next time, he'd face a system that had receipts. And out here, receipts spoke louder than pride. Sunlight does what anger never can. It shows everything. No shouting, no fists, just exposure. That's what Thursday morning felt like when the corporate pickup rolled in, tires crunching the wet gravel. The storm had blown itself out overnight, left behind a sky so clean it hurt to look at. Ruth Delgado stepped out first, clipboard under her arm, followed by a man in a pressed white shirt with the Maddox Energy logo stitched too perfect on the pocket, Mr. Alan Maddox Sr., the owner himself. Cole's father. His reputation was the stuff of company lore, hard, fair, believed numbers over stories. He looked like a man who'd forgotten what it meant to sweat, but still respected those who did. Cole stood stiff beside the trucks, trying to appear calm. His lips split from where the wind had whipped a wrench the day before. When he spotted me near the tool shed, his eyes burned with a mix of shame and something worse, fear. I didn't look away. "All right," Ruth said, her voice steady as steel. "We're here for a safety review and payroll audit. Everyone, stay put until you're called in." The crew scattered into small knots, whispering. Miguel kicked at the gravel. Tasha sat on the steps of the trailer, rubbing her hands together. She caught my eye, gave a small nod, the kind that says, "We made it this far." Inside, the conference table looked foreign, clipboard stacks, laptops glowing, cables running like veins. Corporate people love order when it's on paper. Problem is, paper hadn't been on our side till now. "All right, Hale," Ruth began, gesturing me forward. "Let's see your logs." I placed my tablet down, opened the quiet ledger. Rows and rows of entries filled the screen, dates, times, footage links, even screenshots of payroll discrepancies. Each one a piece of truth waiting for daylight. Maddox Sr. leaned in. "You've been documenting this long?" "3 weeks," I said. "Since Mr. Cole's appointment." His gaze flicked to his son, then back to me. "And why didn't you come to me sooner?" "Because, sir," I said carefully, "I don't fix problems by gossip. I fix them by proof." He studied me a long moment, jaw working. Then he gestured for Ruth to continue. She played the video from the storm, the sound of wind howling, Miguel yelling, Cole's voice cutting in with that fatal line, "Stay put, rookie." Then me shouting, "Kill the feed." The footage ended with my hand slamming the lockout tag. When the screen went dark, no one spoke. The silence was its own verdict. Finally, Maddox Sr. said, "Cole, that your voice?" "Yes, sir," Cole muttered it. "And that's your directive to ignore a safety threshold?" "I was under pressure," he said weakly. "Pressure doesn't change the laws of physics," the old man snapped. "It just shows who knows them." He turned to me. "You disobeyed a direct order." "Yes, sir." Why?" "To keep a man alive," Ruth cut in softly. "And he did, sir. OSHA would have shut us down for a fatality if not for that decision." The owner exhaled through his nose, the way men do when they want to be angry but can't find justification. He nodded once. "You made the right call. Effective immediately, Cole. You're suspended without pay. HR will review your position." Cole's mouth opened, then closed. For the first time, he looked small. Ruth turned back to me. "Hale, you'll be acting lead technician until further notice, and corporate will be using your ledger to build a new compliance protocol across the company." That word protocol hit harder than any promotion, because it meant every lie, every docked hour, every insult would now feed into a system that protects, not punishes. It meant none of this would vanish when I left. Tasha wiped at her eyes, smiling through it. Hank slapped my shoulder. Miguel grinned like he'd seen a miracle with dirt under its nails. When the meeting broke, Maddox Sr. stopped me at the door. "Son," he said, "you could have made a lot of noise with this. Why didn't you?" I met his eyes. "Noise scares people. Truth reforms them." He nodded slowly. "Your mother raised a good one." The words landed somewhere deep. For the first time in months, I felt the air move easy in my chest. Outside, Cole was standing alone by the fence, staring at the turbines. The wind tugged at his shirt, pale against the endless sky. I walked over, not out of victory, out of closure. "Cole," I said quietly, "you ever notice the wind doesn't care who owns the land? It just turns what's built right and tears down what isn't." He didn't answer, just swallowed hard, eyes glassy. Maybe shame, maybe understanding. "I don't hate you," I said, "but leadership starts with listening. Maybe next time, try that before the wind does the talking." He gave a short, hollow laugh. Guess you got your revenge. Not revenge, I said. Blueprint. I left him there with the turbines humming above us, the sound deep and forgiving. That night, Ruth called me while I was refueling the truck. Corporate's formalizing your safety system. They're calling it the Hail Protocol. I laughed, a real one this time. That's too much. Not enough, she said. Sometimes the quiet ones deserve their names on something solid. When I hung up, I just sat there a while, listening to the steady thrum of the wind farm in the dark. The same machines that once felt like prison walls now sounded like proof of what we'd built. I texted Mom before heading home. Things are getting better. She replied right away. Told you. Deep roots, son. I smiled, rolling down the window to let the night air in. Maybe the world doesn't fix itself overnight. Maybe it just starts with one man refusing to look away. You'd think when the dust settles, peace comes easy. It doesn't. It sneaks in slow like sunrise after a long storm, soft, quiet, but full of proof you made it through. A week after the audit, the yard looked almost new. Fresh paint on the control trailer, updated signs with big red letters. Safety before speed. The crew laughed when they saw that. Guess someone upstairs learned to read. Hank joked. We all laughed, but it wasn't bitter anymore. It was release. Corporate had rolled out the Hail Protocol across all 5 wind farms. Digital logbooks, automatic payroll verification, safety alerts linked straight to regional HQ. The system didn't shout, it prevented. It was everything I'd hoped for, protection built into process, not dependent on whoever yelled loudest. But what really got me was the way the crew changed. Tasha walked taller now, her paycheck never short again. Miguel got certified for high-climb work, smiling like the world just widened. Even Hank, old and half-retired, said, feels like this place finally got a spine. And me? I didn't want medals. I just wanted quiet days that meant something. The turbines spun steady. The hum felt different, less like burden, more like heartbeat. Then one afternoon, the company truck pulled up again. Cole stepped out. No sunglasses this time, no swagger. Just a plain hard hat and a clipboard labeled Apprentice Rotation. He caught me by the maintenance shed, hesitated before speaking. Corporate wants me shadowing you for 30 days, he said, eyes fixed somewhere near his boots. I nodded once. Then you better keep up. He almost smiled, small and unsure. Guess I got that coming. First day, he barely spoke. Just followed me up the towers, double-checked bolts, logged readings. The man who once barked orders now asked questions like a rookie. The first week, I kept it professional, short answers, no small talk. But somewhere between turbine 19 and 21, something shifted. He pointed to the nacelle bolts and said, never realized how much you guys did by hand. Hard to appreciate sweat from a desk, I said. He didn't argue, just nodded. At lunch, sitting on the tailgate, he stared out at the spinning blades. My old man won't say it, but he's impressed. Says you fixed what he couldn't. I sipped my coffee. Wasn't about fixing him. Was about fixing the gap between people who work and people who manage. He chewed on that a bit. Yeah, guess I widened that gap. Maybe, I said. But you're here now. That counts for something. He looked down. You ever forgive someone who almost got you killed? I thought for a long time. Depends. They trying to make it right? Trying, he said quietly. Then forgiveness ain't a gift. It's maintenance. You keep tightening it before it rusts. He let out a short laugh, half relief, half guilt. Maintenance. I can do that? By the 3rd week, the crew stopped giving him side-eye. Tasha even passed him a wrench without hesitation. Hank teased him like the rest of us. Respect returned, not given, but earned. And maybe that was the real quiet hit back. On the final day of his rotation, we climbed 27 amperes together. The wind was steady, the sun sharp enough to paint everything gold. At the top, you could see miles of turbines spinning in sync. Cole looked around, breathless, not from fear this time, but awe. Crazy thing, he said. From up here, all the noise disappears. That's the point, I said. Noise never built anything worth keeping. We stood there a while, just listening to the blades slice through wind like steady breathing. Before we climbed down, he turned to me. You ever wonder why you didn't just quit? I smiled. Because if everyone who cared left, all that'd be left are people who don't. Back on the ground, Ruth drove up, clipboard in hand. Cole, 30 days done. How'd he do? He straightened. He taught me more in a month than I learned in 4 years of business school. Ruth grinned. That's a start. Keep learning. Then she looked at me. You good, Hale? Good enough, I said. Still hate paperwork, though. She laughed, shook her head. You build half of it. That night, after everyone clocked out, I walked the fence line one more time. The air smelled of rain again, that clean scent after something breaks and rebuilds. Lights blinked in rhythm, endless rows of red dots fading into dark. My phone buzzed a message from Cole. Appreciate the second chance. Trying not to waste it. I typed back. Good. Respect runs on maintenance too. As I hit send, I realized the thing I'd been chasing wasn't revenge or recognition. It was stability, the kind that lets good people work without fear, where rules aren't weapons but handrails. Mom always said quiet victories last longer because they don't depend on applause. I think she was right. The wind picked up, cool against my face. Somewhere in the distance, a turbine groaned softly, then steadied. I smiled. Maintenance, I whispered to no one. Keep tightening before it rusts. And just like that, I knew the quiet man doesn't win by shouting louder. He wins by building something that doesn't fall apart when the shouting stops. 6 months later, the wind farm didn't feel like a battlefield anymore. It felt like what it was meant to be: steady, humming, alive. I'd come early that morning, coffee steaming in the chill air, to watch the sunrise hit the turbines. There's something about dawn out here. It doesn't announce itself, it just reveals what survived the night. The crew arrived one by one, their laughter echoing through the yard. Tasha's kid had started school. Miguel was running training sessions for new hires. Hank finally took his first vacation in 15 years. Even Ruth smiled more these days. Order had returned, but not the old kind, the earned kind. The kind that comes from fairness, not fear. Cole still worked here. Different department now, safety compliance. Every week he'd send out reports reminding teams to follow the Hale protocol. Sometimes he signed them just CM, quiet, professional. The man who once shouted orders now wrote checklists. And honestly, that said more than any apology could. I caught him one evening by the fence line, staring out at the horizon. He nodded. Still running smooth, he said. Yeah, I replied. Maintenance works better than punishment. He smiled a little. Guess you were right about that. I shrugged. Nah. The wind taught us both. He left me there with the turbines turning slow and sure, red lights blinking against the coming dark. I took a deep breath, the kind that feels like the whole sky fits inside your chest. No anger left, no pride either, just peace. Before heading home, I sent Mom a picture of the field, golden in the last light. She replied with 3 words, quiet wins, baby. And I realized that mercy, in its truest form, isn't weakness. It's restraint. It's knowing you could destroy someone and choosing instead to rebuild the ground both of you stand on. The turbines kept spinning, each rotation a reminder that strength isn't noise, it's endurance. That sometimes the loudest sound in the world is the silence left when pride finally lets go. So maybe that's the real secret, huh? Not shouting, not proving, just staying steady until the truth has nowhere left to hide. Some fights don't need fists. They just need patience and proof. Out here, I learned that the quiet man isn't the weakest one in the room. He's just the one who doesn't waste words. Because when you build something that lasts, the noise fades, but the work stays. If this story hit something in you, maybe reminded you of a moment you had to bite your tongue and stand your ground, drop a comment. Tell me what quiet wins means in your life. Share this with someone who's learning to stay calm in a loud world. And if you believe small acts of fairness can still change big systems, hit that subscribe button and ride with me for the next story. Until then, keep your head low, your heart steady, and let the wind do the talking.